Lin Hao suddenly opened his eyes, and his brain was still buzzing, as if someone had knocked him hard with a stick. In front of me was not the familiar laboratory or his terrible rental house, but an old wooden house with light leaking from the roof and squeaking when the wind blew. He looked down and saw that he was wearing coarse cloth clothes and his hands were full of old tricks, repelling the appearance of ancient warriors. "What's the matter? Dreaming?" He pinched his arm, grinning in pain. In the meantime, a strange memory rushes into the brain like a flood. He is Lin Hao, the lord of a broken small city in Qingyun City. This world isn't a turbulent world, the country is divided, and there are enemy soldiers outside, and the people in the city are skin and bones, and they may rebel at any time. The original owner was cowardly and incompetent, and had long been looked down upon by his subordinates and the people. He was plotted against him a few days ago and he was just absent. "Have you traveled through time?" Lin Hao was shocked. As a science and engineering man, he has never read much online articles and is no longer familiar with this drama. However, now is not a time of emotion. "I clearly wrote in my memory that the enemy will fight in 3 days. In Qingyun City, the city wall is broken like a paper. The total number of guards is less than 500, and most of them are old and weak and sick. What should I do to fight?" "City Lord." "No good." The door was pushed open suddenly, and a big Han, 2 meters tall, full of cheeks, came in, and the sound was like thunder. He is the Zhao, the most powerful leader under Lin Hao's command, and the only leader who can fight. Zhao Yinyo was so anxious that he was sweating profusely, and shouted. The spy replied that the Black Wolf army in the north had gathered 10,000 people and was about to be killed in 3 days. "We are not opponents at all." Lin Hao's heart sank, but his face was not swaying, and he sniffed. "What's the matter?" "I'm just 10,000 people. I'll kill each other, and I'll kill each other." Zhao Xinyu was stunned and stared at Lin Hao with wide eyes, as if he was looking at a crazy person. "City Lord, are you okay? You used to hide under the bed as soon as you heard about war. Why are you so tough today?" Lin Hao thought to himself, the original owner was hiding under the bed. "Now that I have changed into a modern person, what should I hide? I am here with a lot of knowledge about technology." He patted Zhao Xinyu on the shoulder and grinned. "Iron Yo, believe me, we can not only hold on, but also beat the enemy to find teeth. Go and call me the iron craftsmen and carpenters in the city. I'm of use." Although Zhao Yinyo looked suspicious, he still pointed his head and turned away. Lin Hao sat on the chair, his brain moving at a rapid speed. Modern knowledge is his greatest advantage. Torch medicine, cannons, and aircraft are not seen by ancient people. If it could be made, don't say that 10,000 people would have to kneel down. However, the time is only 3 days, so you must be tightly grasped. Not long afterwards, several iron craftsmen and carpenters were brought in, one with his head down and his face was numb, and he obviously had no confidence in the city lord. Lin Hao didn't say anything, but took out a piece of rag, drew a few simple pictures on it, and then gave them. "As long as you do this, I will see the results within 3 days. An old iron craftsman took the picture and looked at it twice and was stunned. "City Lord, what is this? What is this thing? What can this tube do? And with this recipe, why are all messy things?" Lin Hao smiled and said, "Don't ask, just do as you do. If you do it, I guarantee that you will be delicious and delicious. If you can't do it, the enemy will come in and you will be done together." Although his voice was relaxed, there was an unquestionable power in his eyes. Several craftsmen glanced at each other and responded with a stern face. In the next 3 days, Lin Hao almost couldn't meet his eyes. He stared at the iron craftsmen to build the gun barrels and directed them to use saltpeter, sulfur, and charcoal to match pyrodisiacs. Although the ratio was not perfect, it was generally used. The carpenter made several simple cannon stands according to his design, and it was enough to stabilize the cannon barrel. On the last day, 3 rough cannons were finally erected on the city wall. Although they looked like toys, Lin Hao knew that this thing was a killer in ancient times. "City Lord, can this iron tube really fight?" Zhao Xinyu stood aside, looking at the cannons suspiciously, and slamming his head. why does it look like a fire stick? Lin Hao smiled and patted the cannon body. Iron Cow, you will know later. Tell your brothers, guard the city wall and the enemy is coming, and no one can take a step back. As the voice fell, a scattered burrow suddenly appeared on the horizon from far away. Then, a black-pressed army appeared in the field, with a black wolf lying on the flag, which was the pioneer unit of the Black Wolf Army. At a rough look, there were 3,000 people, fighting horses, swords and guns flashed, and air swayed. The guards on the city wall had soft legs, and there were a few who wanted to run away directly. Everything is for me! Lin Hao shouted suddenly, and his voice passed away. Who dares to retreat? I will cut him the first time. Look, today I will let you know what real power is. When Zhao Yinyo saw Lin Hao's toughness, he also came to the throne and shouted, Hear the city lord. Who is retreating is Xuezi. Brothers, please keep with me. The Black Wolf Army is getting closer and closer. The leader of the pioneers' army is riding a tall horse, holding a long spear, and looking at the broken city wall of Qingyun City with a cunning face. He laughed loudly and said, Little Lin Hao, why don't you open the city quickly and surrender quickly? If you are so broken city, you can kick it open with just one foot. You are so cognitive, kneel down and beg for a gift, and you may be able to save your life. Lin Hao stood at the head of the city, smiled coldly, and gave a wink at the soldiers beside him. So much fire. A soldier ignited the torch in a hurry, rushed to the muzzle, and heard a loud bang. The artillery shook violently, and a group of black smoke came out. Then, a ball of iron flew out and was smashing into the front of the Black Wolf Army. In an instant, several soldiers were smashed to pieces, and the people around were directly shocked. The war was shocked and fled in all directions, and their shapes were suddenly indiscriminate. All the guards on the city wall were stunned. The Zhaonyo was even more silly and couldn't close for a long time. What is this? Thunder God has descended to earth? Why is it so fierce? Lin Hao laughed. This is called artillery, modern technology, do you understand? Come on and shoot me in places with a lot of people. The second artillery bomb flew out again, and this time it directly hit a team of people in the enemy army. The explosion sounded, the smoke was rolling, and the screams were rising one after another. The pioneer of the Black Wolf Army turned his head green and pointed at the broken corner of the city. Lin Hao, what demon did you use? If you have the ability, come down and do it with real swords and guns. Lin Hao was careful to him and turned his head to Zhao Xinyu. Jinyo, tell your brothers, prepare your bows and arrows, and shoot me hard while they are upset. The Zhao Iron Cow came back to his mind and slapped his thigh with excitement. Okay. Lord, your thing is so awesome. Brothers, listen to the orders and shoot arrows. For a while, the arrows rained like locusts, heading towards the Black Wolf Army. The enemy was originally feinted by artillery bombing and turned around, and had no power to stop, and his injuries became increasingly serious. The pioneer will see that the victory is not good, and gritted his teeth and shouted, Retreat! Retreat quickly! Go back to report to the general army. Lin Hao is strange. The pioneer unit of the Black Wolf Army retreated unbearably, leaving behind a lot of ground and broken weapons. The guards on the city wall burst into a shocking cry, and the eyes of Lin Hao changed from the original contempt to awe. The Zhaozi Kowtow knelt on his knees and excitedly said, City Lord, you are such a god. Lao Zhao, have you been determined? Lin Hao waved his hand and smiled lightly. Get up, this is just a little test knives. The main force of the Black Wolf Army has not come yet. We have to seize the time to build more artillery and prepare more fire medicines, and there is still a tough battle to fight next. He turned to look at the dead body under the city, and his heart was counting more. In this battle, the power of the artillery had shocked the enemy and made the people in the city look at him with admiration, but this was just the beginning. Qingyun City is too small and has limited resources. If you want to truly rise, you can only rely on a few broken cannons. He has to find ways to expand his strength, recruit talents, create more black technology, and trample this world under his feet. At this moment, a young book student walked up to the city quickly and bowed. City Lord, I am under Li Qingran, I have heard of your name for a long time. I saw it today and it is indeed extraordinary. The power of this cannon is actually unprecedented. If you can use it, I will serve you. Lin Hao looked at the other party, saw his eyes clear and his conversation was extraordinary, and he immediately said, "Okay, Li Qingran, from today on, you will be my sage. The Black Wolf army will not be good at silence, we have to plan well, how can we beat them all the way?" Li Qingran smiled slightly and was about to open his mouth when a horse's hooves suddenly came from a distance, and the face of the Iron Cow changed. "The city lord, I'm silence again. I'm afraid the Black Wolf army will not give up and will be back." Lin Hao stood at the head of the city, squinted his eyes and looked at the dusty soil rising from afar, his mouth slightly raised, and he sneered. The sound of horse hoofs is getting closer and closer. It is indeed a member of the Black Wolf army, but the scale this time is much smaller, and it is estimated that there are only a few hundred riders, like a pioneer of the way to explore the path. He turned his head to Zhao Xinyu. "Iron Cow, don't panic. This wave of people is not here to work hard. They are probably trying to find out our details. If you send orders, prepare the artillery and give them a look." Zhao Xinyu grinned and pointed, "Okay, city lord. Brothers, put on a torch, and listen to the city lord's order." The guards had long been shocked by the power of the artillery that had just fought. At this moment, a soldier was in high spirits and his hands were ready to prepare quickly. Li Qingran beside him glanced at his eyebrows and said in a low voice, "City lord, this group of people is so rude. The Black Wolf army has eaten the big deal. Logically speaking, it shouldn't be so soon to send someone to die. I think they want to try the number and power of our artillery. Maybe there are still most teams ambushing behind us, so we have to be careful." Lin Hao pointed a little, and felt a little more acknowledged about this newly resigned scholar. Li Qingran's brain was moving fast, and it was indeed not a general sensation. He patted Li Qingran on the shoulder and smiled and said, "Don't worry, I have a sense of responsibility. The artillery is now our killer, so the enemy cannot let the bottom of the problem. The Iron Cow will only use one cannon to hide the rest, so don't reveal it. In addition, send a few spies of the spirit out to touch if there are most of the ambush around you." Zhao Yinyo responded to a sound and went to make arrangements. The soldiers from far away had approached the city. The leader was wearing black armor, holding a long gun in his hand, and shouting at the top of his throat, "Little Lin Hao, what kind of ghost thing is that monster? Let's try it again and see if it's only a moment of flowery air." Lin Hao stood at the head of the city, took care of him, and winked at the soldiers beside him. "Open the cannon, aim at the hardest-mouthed one, and give him a little bit of clarity." Bang! With a loud bang, the artillery sprayed out black smoke, and a ball rushed out, heading straight for the black armor. The guy reacted quickly and suddenly slammed the horse and hurriedly avoided it. However, the ball hit the ground and exploded a group of smoke, directly overturning several soldiers around him, hissing, and forming a group of horses. The black-armored leader's face was blue and gritted his teeth and said, "Lin Hao, please wait for me. The Black Wolf army has recorded this account." After saying that, he swung his hand and ran away with the slaughter. He didn't even have the courage to take a look. The defenders on the city wall cried again, and the Zhao slapped his thighs with excitement. "City lord, this thing is too dead. Come on a few more times and blow them up." Lin Hao held his hand and said in a deep voice, "Don't waste pyrotechnics. This thing is done with plenty of kung fu, so it's for fish. Iron Cows, arrange people to clean up the city and collect weapons and horses lost by the enemy. Qingyun City is so scattered that we can't waste any resources." The ox is pointed at the head and takes people down to work. Li Qingran said quietly, "City lord, the Black Wolf army continues to eat, and they should not dare to fight head-on in a short period of time, but they will not be willing to rest. In my opinion, we have to take advantage of this empty space to strengthen our strength and build Qingyun City into an iron barrel, otherwise we will not be so good when the enemy comes out next time." Lin Haoshan thought it was natural, and turned to look at the ruined streets and skinny people in the city, and had a better idea. He said to Li Qingran, "You are right, defending the city is just the first step, we have to make the city come alive. Qingran, do you know how to manage it? I want to do something modern, to tidy up the order in the city and let the people live a good life. Li Qingran was stunned. He obviously didn't understand what modernization means, but he still said, "What do the city lord have?" Despite his instructions, he will make every effort to assist. Lin Hao was not idle in the next few days. He first summoned the top figures in the city, announced the tax exemption, encouraged everyone to do business through fields, and at the same time organized the youth league group in the city, divided it into several teams. One was responsible for repairing the city wall, the other was responsible for patrol and guarding, and another team followed the iron craftsmen and carpenters to prepare for the production of artillery and artifacts. As soon as these measures were taken, the people in the city were half believing and half doubted, but when they saw Lin Hao's power to repel the Black Wolf army, they still did it. In just a few days, the city walls were well built, and there were more calls to sell on the streets. Although they could not talk about the prosperity, they were always a little popular. Lin Hao also borrowed something from the modern management concept and developed a simple cash system to allow everyone to register for their identity, making it easier to determine population and allocate resources. At the same time, he also established a reward system, and he was very fond of food and went to the city wall to repair it. The people in the city were not very suitable at first, but gradually they realized that their lives were much stronger than before, and their attitude towards Lin Hao also changed from suspicion to gratitude. On this day, Lin Hao was patrolling the city wall with a buzzer and checking the newly built fortifications. A spy suddenly ran from afar and said panting, "City Lord, it's not good." The Wang family compound in the south of the city was calm. "I heard that Wang Xuanba's old friend was gathering in private, saying that he wanted to contact outsiders and take you away." Lin Hao heard it, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Wang Xuanba, who has seen this name in the original owner's memory, is the largest gentry leader in Qingyun City. He has a lot of private soldiers under his command. He usually relies on his ancestors' merits to show his might in the city, and has never looked down on the new city lord Lin Hao. When Lin Hao defeated the Black Wolf army before, this veteran did not do much. Now it seems that he is really uneasy. "Iron Yo, bring dozens of brothers, come with me to meet this Wang Xuanba." Lin Hao sneered and turned away. As soon as Zhao Zinio heard a fight, he came to his senses and picked up the big iron and followed. "Okay, Lord. This old thing should have been cleaned up long ago. Lao Zhao, let him know the harm today." When we arrived at the Wang family compound, we found that there were bright lights and people were filled with noise. Lin Hao directly kicked the door open and walked in with a strode. In the yard, Wang Xuanba was sitting with several old men in Chinese dress. The table was filled with wine and food, which was obviously a secret. When Lin Hao suddenly came in, Wang Xuanba's face changed, but soon settled down and said with a smile, "Yi, Lord, what style has blown you up? I just asked a few old friends for tea. Your battle is really scary." Lin Hao snorted coldly, sat in the main seat without any quaintness, and crossed his legs. "Old Wang, don't put garlic with me. I heard that you were restless recently and plan to contact outsiders to deal with me, the city lord? Why, Qingyun City has finally improved a little, and you are getting red in your eyes." Wang Xuanba twitched his face and said with a strong smile, "The city lord misunderstood. I just had old friends with several old friends. How could I be so arrogant? You have defeated the Black Wolf army and have won the power of the world. I admire you for not being as good as you can. I admire it." Lin Hao sneered and slapped the table suddenly. "Then do you say, after the Black Wolf army withdrew, why did your Wang family not come out? Now building walls and patrols in the city, why didn't you see your figure? You can hide from the good things, and you want to push the bad things up to me?" Wang Xuanba was choked and couldn't speak, and the few old men next to him lowered their heads and dared not say anything. The Zhao iron cow stood behind Lin Hao, staring at his big copper eyes, and the iron in his hand swayed, making the people on the scene sweat coldly. Lin Hao saw the story and his temperament was a little calmer, but his eyes were still sharp. "Wang Xuanba, I will give you a chance. Now I will explain your plans in good faith, and I can still save you." If I find out that you are really intimate with the outsider, don't blame me for being rude. Wang Xuanba gritted his teeth and finally lowered his head. Don't rest ashamed of anger. I am indeed a little selfish, but I never thought of harming you. I just think that your new policy is a bit too aggressive and I'm afraid of causing trouble in the city, so I want to find someone to discuss solutions. Lin Hao sneered in his heart. This old guy is indeed not old-fashioned. He said beautifully, but he might have already joined the Black Wolf army behind him. He didn't break it, but just stood up and said, I hope what you said is true. Iron Cow, send someone to stare at the Wang family, any swearing, and Lima will reply. After leaving the Wang family compound, Lin Hao immediately called Li Qingran and told the story in full. After hearing this, Li Qingran pondered for a moment and said in a low voice, City Lord, this King Xuanba has probably defected to the Black Wolf army, otherwise he would not dare to gather so clearly. In my opinion, we must first start the battle and fight his contact with the Black Wolf army together. Lin Hao pointed his head and had a big thought in his brain. Okay, just as you said. I have an idea. Let's use fire medicine to set up a trap and lead them to the rigging. By then, the wise in martial arts will come together to let them know who is the boss of Qingyun City. A few days later, Lin Hao deliberately let out a voice, saying that a batch of food was newly added to the south of the city, and he was relaxed and planned to let people leave at night. Wang Xuanba was indeed in charge. That night, he sent someone to send a message to the Black Wolf army, asking them to come to the middle of the night to rob the village and prepare to cooperate outside. Lin Hao had long expected this to let the Zhao Iron Cow lead people to ambush near the river, and at the same time, a large amount of paradisiacs were buried around, hiding the wires seriously, just waiting for the enemy to put them on the railing. Li Qingran is responsible for the adjustment and ensures no losses. At midnight, the Black Wolf army indeed sent 2,000 elite soldiers to quietly touch the outside of the wall. Wang Xuanba's men came in and prepared to open the door to release the enemy troops. Just when they proudly thought the task was completed, Lin Hao stood on the slope far away, sneered, and said to the soldiers beside him, Let's fire. With a command, the lead line was ignited, and the flames quickly rushed towards the ambush point of the fire. After a few seconds, only a loud wave sound was heard. The surrounding area suddenly exploded, and the flames blew into the sky. Many Black Wolf soldiers were blown to the point of blood, and they screamed in the night sky. Wang Xuanba's receiver was also blown up in scattered ways. The survivor was completely confused. Without reacting, the Zhanyo took the defenders and killed them from all directions. The sword light flashed, killing the enemy's troops to fail. Lin Hao looked at the fire in front of him and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Wang Xuanba, Black Wolf Army, if you dare to play with me, this is the exit. He turned to Li Qingran. Qingran, send someone to the Wang family and capture Wang Xuanba's old friend. I want to see what he has to say. Li Qingran pointed at the head and Lima took someone to do it. The Zhao Iron Bull ran over excitedly and said in blood, City Lord, this battle is so exciting. The enemy was bombed so hard that it could not be found in the north, and the rest were kneeling down and begging for him. Your fire medicine is such a magic trick. Lin Hao smiled and patted his shoulder. This is the beginning, the Iron Cow. The main force of the Black Wolf army has not moved yet, and Wang Xuanba may have a bigger backer behind him. We have to take advantage of the opportunity to chase and take down all the surrounding grounds, so that Qingyun City can truly become a tough head in the world of chaos. Speaking, he turned to look at the distance of the night sky, his eyes flashing with ambitions. He knew that this battle was just the beginning, and the real challenge was still at the forefront. Lin Hao stood on the earth slope, the flames reflected his face, the explosion sounded almost calmed down, and the air was filled with the burnt smell of fire medicine. After the Zhao Iron Cow was killed with a team of horses, he ran back in blood, as excited as a child. City Lord, this battle is so good. The Black Wolf army's helping son was blown up and cried, and the rest were all kneeling on the ground to beg for him. Your fire medicine is simply a way for the gods to come to earth. Lin Hao smiled and patted his shoulder, his eyes relaxed. Iron Cow, don't be too excited too early. This is just a small victory. The main force of the Black Wolf army is not moving yet. Wang Xuanba, the veteran, must have a bigger backer. Send someone to take the prisoners back. I want to ask myself to see how much things can be drawn. The ox is pointed at the head and the horse is turned around to arrange it. Li Qingran walked over from the side, his eyebrows were slightly snarled and said in a low voice, "Lord, although we won this battle beautifully, Wang Xuanba's strength is deeply rooted, and many people in the city are in conflict with him. Just grabbing him one person will probably not be able to stop the troubles. I think we have to take advantage of this force and beat his Yui. Otherwise, there will be no harm in the future." Lin Hao clicked the head, and his brain was already counting on the speed plate. He knew that Li Qingran was right. Wang Xuanba, a leader of the gentry like Wang Xuanba, had a wide range of people, and killing him alone might arouse greater resistance. He sneered and said, "Qingran, you go and take someone to confiscate the Wang family, and control all his family, and don't let a missed network. In addition, send someone to check who is close to the Wang family in the city and list me a list. I want to see who dares to sing and retort with me." Li Qingran left with his orders, and Lin Hao returned to the city lord's mansion with a huqiu. He kept thinking about the next step on the way. Although fire medicine and artillery are his trump cards, their resources are limited and their production speed cannot keep up. Qingyun City has a very thin foundation in breaking the ground and cannot be defended by fighting alone. He had to take advantage of this volatile east wind to pull more force and enlarge his own ground, otherwise he would have to finish the game when the Black Wolf army came out. After returning to the city lord's mansion, he sat down for a while. The ox came in with several Black Wolf soldiers captives. The head was covered in blood and looked like a small head, with a very stubborn mouth, staring at Lin Hao and sneering, "Lin Hao, if you make such a demon harm, you will die sooner or later. The Black Wolf army will sooner or later take people to flatten your broken city." Lin Hao was speechless, picked up the teacup and took a sip, and said lightly, "You are tough-mouthed, right? Iron Cow, give him some clarity." Zhao Xinyu smiled, picked up the bucket beside him, and directly slapped it on the face of the small head. The cold well water made the other party tremble, and his breath became 3 points weaker in an instant. Lin Hao put down the teacup and squinted his eyes and said, "What do I ask? What do you answer? I will give you my life. If you don't answer, the sacrificial core in the hands of the Iron Cow is not aware of anyone. Tell me, how many people have come this time? What are the plans for the future?" The little head gritted his teeth, his eyes were flashing, and he was obviously weighing the pros and cons. Zhao Hania shook the iron in a hurry, and he was shocked to speak. I said. This time, the first team, only 2,000 people, and the main force is still behind. The Grand General Army will lead the team, with 30,000 people. It is estimated that it will arrive in half a month. As for Wang Xuanba, he has long surrendered to us and promised to cooperate outside the country. As long as the Qingyun city is captured, the Grand General Army will be appointed as the deputy city lord. Lin Hao heard it, his face had not changed much, and his heart was sank. There are 30,000 people, this is not a small number. Qingyun city is now full of all combat, and it can only be used for more than 1,000 people. With cannons and fire medicine, it can be at most a lasting moment. It really has to fight head-on, and it is very difficult. He knocked on the table and continued to ask, in addition to Wang Xuanba, who else in the city has contact with the Black Wolf army? I'll tell you, don't force me to take action. The little head hesitated for a moment, and finally spit out several names, all of which were small heads and wealthy people in the city. Lin Hao silently remembered it and let the Zhangyo take the man down. He leaned against the chair, closed his eyes and thought for a moment, and suddenly a big thought flashed in his brain, since the Black Wolf army is coming, don't make them better. I'll tell the craftsmen, go and tell the craftsmen to strengthen the ignition and cannons, the more the better. In addition, I want to design a new weapon, a crossbow, the kind that can shoot arrows continuously, is no worse than the cannon. Zhao Xinyu was stunned when he heard this and slammed his head. City Lord, is it a crossbow? What's that? Can bows and arrows shoot? Lin Hao grinned and said, Don't ask, you'll know in a few days. Also, send someone to come over the heads of several small villages around him. I want to see them. Qingyun City needs to expand its strength, and it's not possible to rely on itself. In the next few days, Lin Hao was so busy that he was not touching the ground. He painted his own pictures and guided craftsmen to create crossbows. The principle of this thing is not complicated. It is to add a simple shooting device to an ordinary crossbow, and the arrows are continuously fired by a wheel and spring. Although the accuracy is different, it is used to deal with dense shapes, and the effect is absolutely explosive. At the same time, he also changed the pyropharmacy formula and made some simple pyropharmacy blowers, put them in a pot, stuffed with iron tablets, and threw them out after firing, which could make the enemy bloody. At the same time, Zhao Yinyo led his men to the leaders of several villages around him. These people heard that Lin Hao used a magic weapon to defeat the Black Wolf army, and he was full of worship. After entering the city lord's mansion, he fought to show his loyalty. Lin Hao didn't say anything and directly gave them a big bun. Ask, I'm the one who has the final say in Qingyun City now. The Black Wolf army wants to come and sweep the local market, but I won't agree. As long as you do it with me, I guarantee that you can eat and wear warmth and can still divide the land. How about it? These heads were already suffering, and when they heard this, their eyes lit up. They patted their chests to ensure their loyalty. Lin Hao was satisfied with the spot, so he asked them to go back to convene the Qing dynasty, form a militia team, and listen to it at any time. Just as Qingyun City was in full swing, there was a slump in the city. Although Wang Xuanba was captured, his Liu was not completely cleaned by Qing. These people saw Lin Hao's voice getting higher and higher, and the people all regarded him as the savior. They were jealous and hated in their hearts, and secretly began to connect, intending to rebel while Lin Hao was not in trouble. Late at night, the city lord's mansion suddenly received an urgent report saying that the walls in the east of the city were set on fire and the guardian soldiers were also secretly killed. Lin Hao heard it, and the Lima rushed over with oxen. When he arrived at the scene, he saw that the fish had already burned into ruins, and the smell of burnt was still in the air. He gritted his teeth and said, "What a big slut. Take someone to check it out and see who fucked it." It took no time for Zhao Yinyo to report that he had caught several suspicious guys to confess that he was Wang Xuanba's old man, and these people also planned to take advantage of the situation to seize the city gate and release the Black Wolf army. After hearing this, Lin Hao sneered, "It's really a coincidence that internal and external troubles come." The Iron Cow, who was interviewed all night long, digging out all their fellow party members, leaving no one behind. But before they could catch their breath, a rapid sound of horns suddenly appeared on the city wall far away, and the spy stumbled and ran over, full of shock. "City Lord, it's not good. The Black Wolf army is coming. There are 30,000 people who are already operating 10 miles north of the city. It seems that Z will attack the city tomorrow morning." Lin Hao was nervous, but his face was still settled. He turned to Zhao Yinyo, "Don't panic, send orders. Everyone will go to the city wall, artillery and crossbows to prepare for it. This time we will make the Black Wolf army come without returning." He looked at Li Qingran again and said in a low voice, "Qingran, the rebels in the city are at the same time as the foreign enemy, and they have probably colluded long ago. We should work hard to resolve the internal affairs first, and then concentrate our firepower to deal with the Black Wolf army. What's your idea?" Li Qingran thought for a moment and saw a gleam in his eyes. "City Lord, I have a way. We can release fake news, saying that you have been controlled by the rebels and the city gate is wide open, so that the Black Wolf army can take the advantage of the victory and accelerate the attack." At the same time, he sent a team of people to pretend to rebels and bombard them with fire medicine to penetrate their operations, and came to me by surprise. The rebels in the city handed me over, and I brought them a trap to lead them on the road. Lin Hao heard it and applauded, "Good idea. That's all. Iron Cow, you bring people to prepare artillery and crossbows. Qingran, you are responsible for the city. I will take the enemy to set fire. We will use our three-pronged approach to make them unable to escape." That night, Qingyun City was tight inside and outside. The rebels in the city were indeed aware that when they heard the news that Lin Hao was controlled, Lima gathered the man Ma and prepared to take over the city lord's mansion. Li Qingran had been ambushed a long time ago, and the rebels were suddenly killed. The rebels were caught off guard and beaten to the point of urination. The rest were either caught or killed. The crisis in the city was instantly resolved. At the same time, Lin Hao brought a team of elite soldiers and bombed the fire medicine, and used the night to touch the Black Wolf Army's camp. They pretended to be the rebels' response and easily got into it. Lin Hao ignited the pilot line by himself, and dozens of fire pills exploded at the same time. The flames swept into the sky. The Black Wolf Army instantly formed a group, with soldiers holding their heads and rats, and even their weapons could not be taken. Lin Hao looked at the fire in front of him and sneered in a low voice, "Black Wolf Army, this is interest, and there is a big meal waiting for you in the future." He quickly withdrew, joined the Zhao Haikao, and was ready to welcome tomorrow's battle. As the sky was dawn, the Black Wolf Army received the news that the Great War was burned and was furious. Lima ordered the entire army to attack and vowed to flatten Qingyun City. The 30,000 troops came over the blackened pressure of the ground, and the war shook the sky and killed the air. The guards on the city wall had a little soft legs, but Lin Hao stood at the head of the city with a loud voice, "Brothers, I'm afraid of nothing. Who dares to take a step back today? I'll chop him up with stern hands. The artillery is ready, the crossbow is ready, and I will hit me hard." Bang! 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 The artillery fired first, and the iron ball rushed out, smashing into the enemy's yard, and a bloody flower exploded. Then, crossbows started, and arrows rushed down like rain. The front troops of the Black Wolf Army were already seriously injured and killed before they even got close to the city wall. The Grand Corps was stunned from the back and gritted her teeth and shouted, "Little Lin Hao, how many demons do you have? Brothers, please push them up. Who will take the city head and win 2 gold medals?" But his excitement was useless at all. The firepower of the artillery and crossbows was too strong. The Black Wolf Army was knocked back after several waves, and the bodies were piled up like a hill. Lin Hao looked at the enemy's wolf and sneered, "Add the fire, blow the fire medicine, throw it away." The soldiers ignited the pots and smashed them hard into the city. The explosions sounded one after another, the iron was covered with 4 pieces, the Black Wolf Army collapsed suddenly, and the troops around the army were blown up several times. He finally realized that there was no way to fight this battle, so he gritted his teeth and ordered, "Retreat! Retreat quickly! This Lin Hao is not a human, but a devil." The Black Wolf Army retreated, and the guards on the city wall burst into a shocking cry. The Zhao shouted excitedly, "City Lord, you are such a god! 30,000 people, we beat you away. My old Zhao has never fought such a happy battle." Lin Hao smiled and looked at the enemy who had retreated from a distance, murmured, "You can run away, monks can't run away, Black Wolf Army, your good days are coming." He turned to Li Qingran, "Qingran, send someone to chase and find out where their nest is. Qingyun City cannot be beaten all the time, it's time to counterattack." Li Qingran pointed at the head and went to make arrangements. Lin Hao stood at the head of the city, blowing over the corner of his clothes, and his eyes were filled with ambition. In this battle, he used technology and sleights to create miracles, but this was just the beginning, the real-world dominance, and was waiting for him to start. Lin Hao stood at the head of Qingyun City, and the backs of the Black Wolf Army soldiers disappeared from the horizon. The bodies and broken weapons under the city walls complained about the fierce battle just now. The people and guards in the city were still immersed in the ecstasy of victory, and shouting sounds came one after another. The ox even grinned and patted his chest excitedly, "City Lord, 30,000 people. We were beaten so hard by us. Why is your brain so good? I was convinced, and I finally convinced." Lin Hao smiled and slapped his hand, his eyes were not relaxed at all, and he said in a deep voice, "Iron Cow, don't be too excited too early. The Black Wolf Army has eaten a lot this time, but their nest is still there. As long as it is not interrupted, it can be reborn at any time. We have to take advantage of their great harm to kill them and take over their boss, Xuanba, and his backer. Zhao Zinnia heard this, his eyes lit up, and Lima picked up the iron. Okay. The city lord does whatever he says. I, Lao Zhao, have long wanted to play the help of Atsuko Network. When will it come out? Lin Hao turned his head and looked at Li Qingran and asked in a low voice, Qingran, have the spy come back? Have you found out the specific location of the Black Wolf Army's nest? Li Qingran pointed out, took out a rough map, pointed to a mountain in the north and said, City Lord, just a spy replied, the main force of the Black Wolf Army retreated to their base, Black Wind, about 200 miles away from our Qingyan city. The land area is difficult to defend and difficult to attack. Wang Xuanba's old fellow has been stocking up there for the past few years, and it is estimated that he still has a lot of remaining power. In addition, he heard that he had contacted several gentry around him and planned to make a comeback in Dongshan. Lin Hao snorted coldly and narrowed his eyes and said, Wang Xuanba, this old fox, is really unwilling to give up. Since he doesn't take the initiative to die, then let's take the initiative to go to the door. The Iron Cow, go back and order 5,000 horses, bring all the cannons and syrups to blow up, and set off in 3 days. Qingran, you are responsible for staying in Qingyan City and pulling out the guys in the city who have a connection with Wang Xuanba. Don't let me come back and deal with the trouble. Zhao Yinyo and Li Qingran said that they should go to work together. Lin Hao stood at the head of the city, looking at the sky far away, and a raging ambition ignited in his heart. In this battle of Black Wind, not only did it finally destroy the Black Wolf Army, but it also had to uproot Wang Xuanba's aristocratic power and set a rule for the whole world. Whoever dared to defeat his path would have to die. 3 days later, 5,000 elite soldiers from Qingyan City set off in a daze under Lin Hao's lead. The Zhao Iron Cow walked in front with the Iron Croaker, full of his face, as if he was going to smash the field instead of fighting. The team dragged more than 10 cannons. Although the production was rough, its power had been verified in previous battles. The soldiers looked at these artifacts and their military spirit was so high that they could reach the sky. Along the way, Lin Hao did not make everyone rush to go, but sent a spy to find out the situation ahead and ensured that he would not be ambushed. 2 days later, the team finally arrived near Haifengling. Only the mountains ahead were steep. There were no doubt that the enemy's camp was seen on the verge of the enemy, and the flags were flying. It was obvious that they had already prepared to defend the enemy. Zhao Zinnia looked at the camp on the mountain and couldn't help but say, this helper is really going to pick a place. The mountain is so high, won't you be exhausted if you push it up? City Lord, how can you fight? Otherwise, we can use artillery to directly turn them upside down. Lin Hao shook his head and said in a deep voice, no, the artillery range is limited, the mountain is high, and it is not possible to get the core position. If you don't want to waste the fire, it will easily reveal our trump card. Iron Cow, send a few brothers from the spirit to the back mountain to see if there's a path to dive up. We have to find out their defense first, and directly attacking is the worst way. The ox is pointed at the head and the horse is going to arrange it. That night, the spy did reply and said that there was a secret path in the back mountain. Although it was so narrow that it could only pass a few people, it went straight to the back of the enemy camp and the guards were relatively relaxed. Lin Hao heard it and squinted his lips. Okay, this is the breakthrough. Iron Cow, you will bring 500 people tonight and touch me from the back mountain. First burn their grass and force the people out. The remaining people are on standby at the foot of the mountain, and the artillery is ready. When they get sick, they will rush me hard. Zhao Yinyo slapped his thighs excitedly. Okay. City Lord, I like this. I am the best at burning grass. That night, Lin Hao led his team, and 500 elite soldiers quietly walked along the path behind the mountain without a sound. His mouth was biting a cloth and holding a fire medicine in his hand, which even his breathing was suppressed to the lowest point. When I touched the back of the camp, I saw several enemy sentries dozing off. I didn't expect anyone to pass by this. Lin Hao winked, and took a few people up, and solved the sentry in just a few seconds, without even speaking the sound. Then, They headed straight to the haystack, fired a fire pot, and swept in hard. Sure. Sure. After several loud noises, the fire shook the sky, and the hay piles instantly ignited a raging fire. The soldiers of the Black Wolf army in the camp were awakened and screamed and ran around. Some shouted evil, and some threw their weapons and squatted down with their heads. Lin Hao sneered and said in a low voice, "Iron Cow, take people, pick up places with a lot of people to fight, and force them to go down the mountain." Zhao Zinia roared and rushed up with the iron. 500 elite soldiers followed behind, with a flash of swords, which caught the enemy off guard. The fire grew bigger and bigger, and the camp was in chaos. The Black Wolf Army's leader, Xuanba, ran out of the tent with his head and hair, roaring to make people fight back, but no one heard him at all, and the soldiers were just waiting to run for their lives. At the same time, the Qingyun army at the foot of the mountain heard the explosion, and the stairs launched an attack. The artillery rushed towards the mountainside. The iron ball and the pyrotechnic bomb exploded, forcing the enemy to run down, just in time to run into Lin Hao's ambush. The two sides were slammed, and the Black Wolf army had no strength to support the enemy, and was seriously injured. Wang Xuanba had already left when he saw Dasheng. He gritted his teeth and suddenly rushed around with dozens of thoughts, but he ran away without much distance and was trapped by the Zhao Iron Cow. Zhao Zinia looked at him and smiled, "Old Wang, why are you running away? I just deserve a beating, come, I will give you a relaxing bone." As he said, the iron slammed Wang Xuanba's two relatives. Wang Xuanba was so scared that his legs were soft, he knelt down with a sound, and asked for help. "Lord Lin, don't live. I know that I am wrong, I am willing to surrender, hand over all my family's fortunes, just for a way to live." Lin Hao walked over from behind, looked at him coldly, and snorted, "Wang Xuanba, when you hooked up with the Black Wolf army, burned me to steal the enemy, and harmed my people, why didn't you want to ask for a gift? It's too late now. The Iron Cow, get up and take it back for public trial. I want the people of the whole city to see what the seller's prayer is leaving." The Zaya responded and swept Wang Xuanba to the vast expanse of all kinds, and the battle ended soon. The camp of Haifengli was burned into ruins, and the Black Wolf soldiers were to be captured and fled in scattered ways. This powerful enemy in the world was finally flattened by Lin Hao. After returning to Qingyun City, Lin Hao ordered the public trial of Wang Xuanba, and announced his crimes over the years one by one. The people in the city were so excited that they gritted their teeth and demanded severely. Lin Hao didn't say anything and directly ordered a decision. At the same time, he confiscated all the Wang family's property and divided it into the miserable families in the city. This movement made his voice reach the top, and the people knelt on the ground and shouted, "The city lord is thousands of years old." The surrounding small villages and forces heard the sound and took the initiative to surrender. After solving external enemies and internal problems, Lin Hao finally calmed down and started construction. He convened Li Qingran and a group of leaders to start implementing a series of modernization reforms. First, we improved agricultural tools, taught the people to use more efficient methods to introduce simple water conservancy systems to ensure the growth of food production year by year. Then, he set up a school to let the children learn graphic skills, and at the same time built workshops to produce a large number of fire medicines and weapons. He even began to study more advanced steam devices, preparing to build Qingyun City into a world-class industrial center. Over the years, Qingyun City has transformed from the devastated small town into a prosperous land. The city walls are high and the streets are wide. The people are smiling on their faces. Life is more prosperous than anyone else. As the surrounding force was approaching, Lin Hao's territory expanded and gradually controlled the entire north. On this day, Lin Hao stood on the newly built city lord's mansion, overlooking the hot market below. Zhao Yinyo stood aside and couldn't help but sigh, "City lord, we couldn't even eat anything in this broken place at the beginning. Who could have thought that today would become like this? You are really our savior." Lin Hao smiled and slammed his head, "The Iron Cow is not my own merit, but we are all working together. Our territory is bigger, but our responsibility is also greater." Next, We have to clean the surrounding troops and make the whole world safe. Li Qingran walked over from the side and bowed. City Lord, now the north has been settled, and there are still several large forces in the south fighting each other. If they can be subdued, the world will be in a near future. I suggest that while we are in full swing, we will go south and use artillery to drive. Whoever is not convinced will be able to be subdued. Lin Hao pointed his head, and there was a light in his eyes. Okay, that's it. The Iron Cow, clear, prepare for it. In 3 months, we will go south to end this world. 3 months later, Lin Hao led 100,000 troops to the south, with artillery flying and fighting vehicles crushing. Wherever he went, the enemy troops surrendered without expectation. His reputation spread all over the world, and several great leaders in the south had passed away. He kept taking the initiative to surrender, and it took half a year to win the whole world by Lin Hao. After the war ended, Lin Hao rebuilt a new capital on the ruins of the old capital, and set the country as Haotian, proclaiming himself the Emperor of the Open. He ordered the elimination of the gentry's rights and the promotion of scientific and technological talents, so that the children of Han men could also stand out. At the same time, education and business were vigorously promoted, and innovation was encouraged. In just a few years, the Haotian Empire became an unprecedentedly powerful country, with the people living in peace and prosperity, and the national strength was unprecedented. One day, Lin Hao stood on the platform of the imperial palace in Chengdu, looking at the people below to worship, and the shocking emperor's age suddenly ejaculated in his ears, and a feeling of satisfaction finally came to his heart. Zhao Yinyo was still as stupid as he stood beside him and laughed. Emperor, Lao Zhao, said at the beginning, it's right with you. Now the world belongs to you, why don't you laugh? Lin Hao turned his head, patted his shoulder, and said lightly, Iron Yo, we have fought together in the world. It doesn't matter whether we smile or not. What's important is that we can make everyone on this land live a good life. That's all. Li Qingran stood on the other side and smiled slightly. The emperor cares about the world and is truly a blessing for all the people. Your name will be recorded forever and will be passed down through the ages. Lin Hao didn't say anything anymore, just looked at the faraway sky, and the wind blew over the corner of his clothes, bringing a clear and refreshing atmosphere. He knew that this trouble had been completely changed by him, and his legend would be recorded by countless people in later generations. He has transformed from an ordinary person who has traveled through time to the immortal emperor on this land, and the blood and fire along the way finally put a perfect sentence on his painting.